Hello, good morning everyone. And I mean very good morning all of you. Welcome back. Welcome to the online platform SVS online classes at Raghunathpur Barswai. And today we will discuss the subject is biology from class 9th. First chapter. The topic is that in our last class actually we were discussing about the irrigation. That means we were discussing about the irrigation. What is the irrigation and today we will discuss the topic is factor controlling irrigation. That means what are the basic things. Factor controlling irrigation, that means irrigation depends what kinds of factor. That means suppose that equal crops needs equal amount of water. Maybe some crops needs maximum amount of water, some crops needs less amount of water. That means that is the quantity of water is varying with the crops, with the varying of production of crops. In that case maybe. And second thing is the soil. So soil, that means the irrigation, that means the supply of water in regularly in a huge amount or supply of water is less amount. It's completely maybe depends on the nature of the soil. So today we will discuss about the basic things, the factor controlling irrigation. The irrigation or water requirement of plants depends on the following two factors. That means the irrigation or water requirement of crop plants depends on the following two factors. First factor is that irrigation dependent on the nature of the crop plants. Irrigation dependent on the nature of the crop plants. That means इसको हम बोल सकते हैं that is called crop based irrigation. That is called crop based irrigation. And second one is that irrigation dependent on the nature of soil of the crop fields. That means soil based irrigation. So there are two main factors. That means this is the two main factors. That means crop based irrigation and soil based irrigation. So we will discuss briefly about these 2 points. The first point is that crop based irrigation. So water requirement of different crops are different during the various stages of their growth and maturation. Suppose that जैसे rice का खेती होता है, that means production of the rice. That means when we are planting as a baby plant, that means as a seeds तो नहीं बोल सकते हैं, that means इसको plant ही बोल सकते हैं क्योंकि rice grow करता है plant to plant. Suppose that plant, in that case they needs large amount of water. That means they needs large amount of water in a maximum time. That means supply of water, that kinds of plants needs supply of water regularly. That means they needs regularly supply of water. That means some cross plants require more water, like paddy crop, like rice crop. You can say that is a makhna. That means is a part of the agriculture in which that means they needs maximum amount of water and regularly. That means जैसे maturation, that means कि जैसे फसल मेरा that means growth करेगा और एक maturation stage पे आएगा. In that case they needs little amount of water. So that means कि irrigation, crop based irrigation. Some crop plants require less amount of water. That means suppose that that kinds of plants which is grown in winter season. That means all the plants which is grow in a winter season, they needs less amount of water for germination, for their growth. So we can say that this is completely crop based irrigation, like wheat, gram and cotton. These are the examples. That means these are the examples. That means that kinds of plants needs less requirement or needs less amount of water, like wheat, mustard, that kinds of plants, especially which is grow in a winter season. The first one is that irrigation, crop based irrigation. So once more time, कि water requirement of different crops are different during the various stages of their growth and maturation. That means कि they do not need equal amount of water entire the time. That means from beginning to end, from baby plant to mature plant. That means कि some plant crop plants require more water like paddy crops. That means just for example rice, and some crop plants require less water like wheat, gram and cotton because they water. And you can see that some other examples like all the plants especially which is grow in a winter season, because in that time our environment is, that means कि मॉइस्चर, दैट मीन्स उसमें क्या होता है कि मेरा एनवायरनमेंट में क्या होता है, नमी होती है. दैट मीन्स कि वाटर पार्टिकल्स प्रेजेंट होते हैं ड्यूरिंग द विंटर सीजन इन विच दे डू नॉट रिक्वायर मैक्सिमम अमाउंट ऑफ वाटर फॉर द इरिगेशन. Second point is that कि soil based irrigation. Second point is that soil based irrigation. So irrigation also depends on the nature of the soil in which the crops grown. That means irrigations also depends on the nature of the soil. That means in which crops is grown. Second point is that कि the crops grown in a sandy soil. That means कि crops grown in a sandy soil need irrigation more frequently. Why? कि in the sandy soil, that means कि it has less वाटर स्टोरिंग कैपेसिटी. दैट मीन्स उसके पास क्या होता है कि वाटर स्टोरिंग कैपेसिटी बहुत ही कम होता है, और उसमें क्या होता है कि वो जो वाटर जो होता है कि ईजिली क्या हो जाता है, रिस जाता है. रिस जाना कहने का मतलब होता है कि वाटर ईजिली एब्जॉर्ब. दैट मीन्स वो क्या होता है कि वाटर जल्दी रिस कर जाता है, ईजिली एब्जॉर्ब कर लिया जाता है सॉइल के द्वारा. और वाटर क्या होता है कि इजीली इसमें फिनिश्ड हो जाता है. दैट मीन्स कि दैट काइंड्स ऑफ सॉइल, इफ द क्रॉप्स इज ग्रोन दैट काइंड्स ऑफ सॉइल, दे नीड्स मोर इरिगेशन. कि द फ्रीक्वेंसी ऑफ इरिगेशन इज कंपैरेटिवली लेस फॉर द crops growing in a clay soil. That means कि इसमें क्या होता है कि वाटर होल्डिंग कैपेसिटी होता है. दैट मीन्स कि दैट काइंड्स ऑफ सॉइल कैन स्टोर अ वाटर इन मैक्सिमम फॉर द लॉन्ग पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. दैट मीन्स कि दैट काइंड्स ऑफ सॉइल हैज प्रॉपर्टी. दैट मीन्स इसके पास एक प्रॉपर्टीज होती है कि दे कैन होल्ड द वाटर. दैट मीन्स दे कैन होल्ड द वाटर फॉर अ long period of time. So that means कि supply of water or irrigation depends on two factors. First one is that कि nature of the crops. That means आप किस तरह की फसलों को उगा रहे हैं, nature of the crops. And second one is that कि irrigation also depends on the soil based irrigation, मतलब nature of the soil. So there are two kinds of soil. First one is that sandy soil and second one is that clay soil. So clay soil, sandy soil has is less, that means it has no ability to store the water. But clay soil, it has ability to store a water for a long time, maybe 10 days, 20 days, 8 days. So these are the factor controlling irrigation. Second point is that what are the basic irrigation system. That means what are the method or what are the basic ways for irrigation system. The irrigation system, that means some most commonly used. That means that can be commonly used everywhere. That means as per the place, as per the availability of water, maybe ground water or surface water. So that means कि irrigation system are the following. As some most commonly used irrigation system are the following. That means canal system. First one is that canal system, tanks, wells, through the wells. That means through the wells, and wells can be dug wells or tube wells. Fourth one is that कि रिवर लिफ्ट सिस्टम, 7.151 इज दैट कि रिवर वैली सिस्टम एंड 6.1 इज दैट ड्रिप एंड स्प्रिंकलर इरिगेशन सिस्टम. So these are the basic commonly used irrigation system. Canal system, tank, wells, dug wells, tube wells, river lift system, river valley systems and drip sprinkle irrigation system. So these are the basic 6 irrigation system that can be used for the supply of water for the crops in a field. So these are the basic irrigation system. We will discuss कि what is the canal system, what is tanks, कि wells, मतलब in canal system. In canal system, the first one is canal system. So normally we will explain कि how canal system, what is canal system. Canal system. तो canal system that means कि this is the way, that means that is the main canal, and water is flowing through this canal. That means कि water is flowing through this canal. Water is flowing through this canal and कि number of canals, कि as a branches number of canals are joined in a male canal and branches of canal this way. Simply, this is the main canal. And number of canals as a branches is this way, adjoin this main canal. And when is the water flowing through this main canal? When the water is flowing through this main channel, that means these are connected to the fields. That means these are connected to the fields. All the branches canal is connected to the field. All the branches canal is connected to the field. This way, all the branches canal and this way. These are connected to the fields. When water is passing through this canal and the water is distributed through this canal and supplied to the field. जब इस कैनल से क्या होता है, पानी पास होता है और ये क्या होता है कि उसका जो ब्रांचेस कैनल है क्या करता है कि पानी का सप्लाई सम अमाउंट ऑफ वाटर क्या जाता है ब्रांचेस कैनल में जाता है और वो ब्रांचेस कैनल जो होता है वो कनेक्टेड टू द फील्ड्स, और वो फील्ड से कनेक्टेड होता है और ये जो वाटर होता है ये कंप्लीटली सप्लाई हो जाता है टू द क्रॉप्स, for the crops or to the crops. So this water can be directly supplied to the crops. So these are the basic function of the canal system. These are the basic function for the canal system. That means using this technique, the crops can be irrigated through the channels, through the branches channel. That means using this technique, the crops are irrigated through the canal system. These are the basic working principle of the canal system. You can read your book That means कि you will understand better after the discussion. So basically क्या होता है, एक मैन चैनल होता है, उसमें क्या होता है, नंबर ऑफ ब्रांचेस चैनल बना होता है और ये डायरेक्टली कनेक्टेड टू द फील्ड होता है. दैट मीन्स कि these are the fields in which crops are grow. That means कि during the flowing of water, the some little amount of water, that means some amount of water is flowing through the branches channel, and branches channel is connected to the field, and this water can be directly supplied to the crop, to the field. This is the simple basic principle of the canal system. Rest of the irrigation system, that means wells, tube wells, dug wells, and sprinkle and drip irrigation system we will explain in our next class. Basically before that you have to read the book. Next point is that cropping patterns. Next point is that cropping patterns. Next point is that cropping patterns. What are the cropping patterns? Next one is that cropping patterns. Cropping patterns, that means these are the modes. That means is a method or is a way. These are the modes. That means modes, that means is a method or ways or techniques of raising crops which help in obtaining maximum benefits from the same place of land. That means if we have same place of land, that means suppose that कि अगर 1 hectare भूमि है, suppose that कि we have 1 hectare field, so how we can obtain or how we can find maximum yields, that means maximum production. If we maximum production, that means maximum benefits in a same field. How we can use या फिर what are the cropping pattern या फिर what are the cropping method या ways we can use. After that we can got better benefits from the same field of land. There are 3 common types of cropping patterns. That means we can use in our field basically 3 cropping patterns. First one is that mixed cropping patterns. First one we can use mixed cropping pattern. Second one we can use intercropping patterns. The second one we can use intercropping patterns, and fourth one we can use crop rotation. So these are the basic method or technique. After using this technique in a same field, we can obtain maximum benefits. That is the main 3 modes. This is the main 3 modes. After using these modes in a same field, we can obtain maximum benefits. First one is that mixed cropping. That means the word cleared. Mixed cropping, that means we are growing 2 or more crops in a same field. That means we are growing together 2 or more crops in a same field. That means it is a technique of growing 2 or more different crops. That means it is a technique or modes or method or ways of growing 2 or more different crops together in a same field. This is called mixed cropping. The different crops to be grown together. That means कि अगर हम 2 और मोर क्रॉप्स को एक ही फील्ड में ग्रो कर रहे हैं, दैट मीन्स कि दे हैव डिफरेंट प्रॉपर्टीज, दे डोंट हैव कॉमन प्रॉपर्टीज, दैट मीन्स कि the different crops to be grown together are chosen that they do not have common pest and pathogens or similar requirements of water and nutrients. That means you will choose 2 or more crops for the same fields. That means they contains different properties. That means the different properties may be height of the crops, types of leaves of the crops, that means water requirement and maturation period. Suppose that a crops completed suppose to 3 months, so maybe second one is for 15 days, for 20 days, maybe 1 month. That means कि duration of time, that means कि water requirement कि they needs less amount of water, maybe that means कि one is consume more, so maybe second crops is consume less amount of water, they needs more amount of nutrition, they needs less amount of nutrition. So these are the basic conditions, after analysis those conditions we will choose the crops for growing in a same field. So this is the basic things, the mixed cropping patterns. So we will see some examples. Examples like groundnut and sunflower. Groundnut and sunflower, sunflowers. This is the example. And wheat and mustard. Mustard. That means we can choose that kinds of crops. That means they have completely different properties. Maybe they needs less amount of water, and second one is maximum amount of water. One is less nutrient requirement, second के लिए less maximum nutrient requirement. So have you seen that in your near about areas when we are growing potatoes in our field, with this we can grow carrots and radish and mustard in a same field. Why? Because they are completely different. Water requirement, consuming of nutrients, that means photo periods and structure of the leaves, size of the plants and maturation time. These are the basic things. You can see that everywhere. Suppose that in a field of wheat, that means कि जहाँ पे हम लोग गेहूं को लगाते हैं उसके साथ हम लोग क्या करते हैं, मस्टर्ड को भी बोते हैं. दैट मीन्स कि मस्टर्ड्स का क्या होता है कि मस्टर्ड दैट मीन्स कि एज अ वेजिटेबल्स है, दैट मीन्स साग बोल सकते हैं उसको. दैट कैन बी यूज्ड तो इन विच वी कैन यूज दैट काइंड्स ऑफ क्रॉप्स in a same field. So this is the mixed cropping. That means कि after using that kinds of process we can obtain maximum benefits from the same field. I hope you will understand all the points, and please write down all the notes. That is important points. If you reading all the statement, if you watching and hearing carefully all the statement and all the written topics, definitely you will able to solve the exercise questions. No need to remember all those things regularly. You have to watch the video clearly and listen the audio, that means listen my voice carefully, and please write down the notes. After doing 3 steps, I think you will definitely write the answer of your exercise questions. Thank you for watching this video, and rest of the 2 topics and next topics we will continue with our next video. Thank you for watching this video and have a nice day.